Emily. My name is Maren, and I'm a social worker here at the Family Counseling Center. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. Did you find us all right today?
I did, yes.
Perfect. And you filled out some of the forms at the front desk?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions for me about those forms?
No, not really. It was really clear.
That made sense? Okay. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my role, as a social worker. So I'm here to support you with anything that might come up with you in your life. You can ask me questions and we can work together to solve any problems you might be having. Do you have any questions about what I can do for you or my role?
No.
Okay. So we're going to talk first a little bit about confidentiality before we get started. So basically everything that we talk about here is confidential. It's just between you and me. I want you to feel comfortable talking to me and know that everything will be private. But there are a couple of situations where confidentiality might be broken. So if you share anything with me that suggests someone might be hurt or harm might take place, that's something I have to report. My duty as a social worker, and if there's any legal orders, like if I was subpoenaed to court for something to do with you, then unfortunately I would have to break confidentiality as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions before we begin?
No, I don't.
Okay. So let's start with just telling me a little bit about why you came in today to see me.
I'm having some issues in my relationship right now. And my partner is really upset over whether I'm gay, and I haven't come out in my workplace, and she's kind of upset about that, and I guess it's causing a lot of issues in my relationship.
So you're having some conflict right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your partner?
Yeah, we've been together, we've been living together for 5 years, and we've been together for 7. And we recently moved to Waterloo region, and we were in Toronto before. So we've been together for a long time, and she's really great. I love her a lot, but just with everything that's happening with work, it's caused a lot of issues with us.
So it sounds like your work situation is causing a lot of stress on your relationship.
Yeah, a lot of stress, I would say.
Okay.
For sure.
And how long has this been going on for?
Well, probably for the last year, because I just kind of switched jobs. Like as I said, we recently moved to the area, and that was for her job, and then she was laid off, but I work as a teacher, and I just got on with the Catholic school board because I couldn't get on with the Waterloo one, and in the public school board, and so I'm working for a Catholic school, which is not ideal, and I've been at this school for less than a year, so there's a lot of challenges, and it's outside of Waterloo. It's in St. Jacobs, so it's a really small town, and it's definitely not as accepting to lesbians or being in a partnership with another woman. So a lot of issues there.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be really uncomfortable to be in a situation where you know that you might not be fully accepted.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of risk, right? Like I don't want to lose my job or be fired from the board when I don't know if I can get another job. So that's a huge challenge.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
Yeah, it is.
Unsure of what could happen.
It's really scary, and like we've been living together, and we have rent payments, and we're still paying off school, and she just got fired from her job at CBC, and that was the whole reason we moved here. But if we move again, I don't even know if I'll get another job, and I don't want to quit or like risk it and then be out of work. So
a lot of financial pressure on top of all the other stress.
Yeah, exactly. But she doesn't seem to understand that. Like I'll talk to her and like say what the risk is, and she just doesn't. Like she thinks that I should be out, and she thinks it's not that I'm like proud of who I am, but that's not it. It's just all the other stresses, and I feel like I'm just being practical about it.
Right. So you guys are kind of coming from two different places. It sounds
exactly.
Around this issue.
And she comes from a line of work where everyone's super accepting about it, and it's not abnormal. But I work in a Catholic school, like it's completely different, and it's not even a Catholic school in Toronto or somewhere where there might be other people in the same situation as me. Like I'm in St. Jacobs, like it's just unheard of. So it's really challenging.
That does sound really challenging. So you've talked to her and explained the situation at school?
Yeah, I did, and and she doesn't seem to really get it, I don't think. And she's kind of comparing it to her upbringing, I guess. She grew up in Toronto, and she was out in school, and there was a lot of support system, and that kind of thing didn't really happen, and parents weren't, I guess, upset about it. Like, I've heard of stories too. So she doesn't, I guess she just doesn't really understand the difference, or like the cultural differences between like the small town and you know, being in a like diverse and open city. And she also was in the public school system, and she has friends that work for the public school system, and like it's completely different. Like you can't compare it completely to the Catholic school.
So it's hard for her to relate because she's really never had an experience that could help her to understand
it is
what
really
you're
hard.
going through.
Yeah, it is really hard for her to relate.
Yeah. So could you tell me a bit more about what's going on at work?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
going there?
I love my job. I'm a grade 2 teacher, and I have, like, it's full time, which is awesome. And it's an extended leave, so it's, you know, like, I don't even know if I'm going to be there for a really long time. Like, it's an LTO position, so I could be there for a year, or it could turn into something permanent, which would be awesome, because, I mean, it's hard to get a permanent job as a teacher.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's just more the fact that, like, at my school, it's in a small town, and the principal, I mean, he's kind of like an old school educator, so he's, you know, I wouldn't say like close to retirement, but he's, you know, late 50s, and he's a Catholic man. Like, unlike some teachers there that are kind of like have, I don't know, like their parents were Catholic or whatever, like he's a practicing Catholic. And most of the teachers there aren't really my age. Like, they'll be late 40s, early 50s. So kind of a different dynamic, I guess, especially considering we're in a small town. Yeah, so, and I mean, I think part of the reason why I'm really hesitant to come out within my workplace is that when I started there, because I've only been there for like a not long period of time, when I started there, there was a student who was not in my class, but in another class, and they kind of, I guess they were just like non-gender conforming. And it was such a huge issue in the school. Like, the principal did not have any compassion towards the family or even the student, and it just sort of like raised a huge red flag where I just kind of shut down and was like, I'm not going to say anything to anyone, because I was so worried that it would just, like, I know it would cause an issue. And the student ended up having to like change schools and everything. Like, it was terrible. And I felt like I still feel so guilty that I didn't stand up for that situation. But I had just come in, and I was worried about, you know, having a job and just happy to actually have a job. So yeah.
So it sounds like you definitely have good reason to feel the way you're feeling, and it's a very conflicting position for you to be in, because it sounds like you would want to be advocating for students and yourself, but there's also that fear, especially with what you've said about the principal from the school and some of his practices.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I feel like, too, I don't want to burn bridges when, if I don't have him as a reference and I want to get another job in another board, like, that could really screw me over. Like, I could not be able to get another job. And I've spent all this time and money to get where I am, and I'm just worried I'm going to ruin it.
Yes, I understand that it's a very challenging position to be in. And did you explain the position with the student to your partner at all?
I did, and I think the problem is that she's so, like, she's such an advocate, which is amazing, and something that I really love about her, but, and she's always involved in, like, youth initiatives and stuff like that, especially in, like, KW. So I think that she didn't really understand it from being such an advocate for, like, LGBTQ plus youth, and that I should have been in that same, and I do feel a lot of guilt over that for sure, but it wasn't, like, I had just started. Like, I was just kind of, like, walking in, and that situation arose, and I didn't know what to do, or even, like, and there's lots of other people involved, so yeah, so I think also it's kind of a strain on our relationship that I didn't advocate. And I think, like, I went to U of T to do my teacher's college, and there, like, we were advocating and we were really involved, and that was awesome, but we don't, like, I haven't really had the same opportunities, so yeah, it's definitely a strain, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, it sounds like that, and some of the circumstances you're under at work are really affecting your values and interfering with how you would usually like to behave.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't feel like myself. Like, I'm not walking in and being my, like, you know, acting like myself, or I can't even talk about my true identity, which sucks, but I feel like it's a risk that I have to, I don't know, I have to do it. Like, I can't not have a job, and I can't get fired, and that will really set us back. And it's kind of just, like, worth it in the long run to kind of just suck it up and keep quiet for a bit, and then hopefully move on to something better in a more accepting environment. But
is there anything that you think would take the pressure off of what you're experiencing in your relationship?
I think if she had a job, that would be fabulous, but I also don't want to, like, she's trying obviously to get a job, and I think we're debating moving, but it's just hard whether, like if she had a job lined up, then I think moving would be okay, but right now, like, we can't not have an income, you know, and it is a good income. Like, I'm, you know, making a decent amount of money, and it's great, and having those full-time hours. Like, if I was working part-time or something like that, then I could just find another part-time job, but it's full-time, like, full benefits and everything.
And that's hard to come by.
Yeah, exactly. And just, like, paying off debt, and even paying off her debt and stuff, like, that's what we're working towards. So yeah, it's super challenging.
So we've been talking a lot about your relationship with your partner in regards to what's going on in the school. I was wondering if you could tell me a bit about your family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. My parents are super supportive. I think I came out to them when I was 15. Like, I was in high school, and they're just so supportive. Like, I love them so much. They're great. And they've always supported me in everything that I do. So that really, it was never an issue. Like, it wasn't anything that and I didn't even feel like, a lot of people feel such anxiety, and of course I was nervous, but I knew that they were just really accepting people, and they just want me to be happy and healthy. So I think that was, like, in all honesty, like, I think it made me closer to them. Like, I can't say anything that, like, it really put a strain on our relationship. Like, it wasn't. And they've always done a really good job of, like, advocating for me, and especially, not that other family members weren't supportive, but, like, weren't as comfortable with it, and they were always just never, like, I never had to deal with it. Like, it was always them. So I think I'm so lucky that I had that in my life, you know? Like, it wasn't stressful, right? Like, it wasn't like I've dealt with this before. So yeah, so that's great. And I have a brother too, and he's amazing. Like, he could be, like, as I said, like, my family is just so supportive. It's amazing.
So you've been able to be open with them overall. It sounds like they've been very accepting of you.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, it's never been an issue. It was, like, coming out and they're like, okay, that's great. Thanks so much for telling us. And then it was, like, back to normal. Like, there was, like, not even a period of, like, readjusting or anything. I guess. I mean, I did come out pretty young too, so that might have affected it, but, like, overall it was pretty.
It was a positive experience.
Really positive, yeah. And even, like, growing up in school, I was, like, out to my friends, and it wasn't a big deal. Like, I don't think anybody really, like, they always stood up for me, and I never really put myself into situations where I felt like, and maybe that was me just, like, playing it safe all the time, where I knew, like, I had heard all these horrible stories about people being, like, majorly discriminated against, and I don't think it was, so maybe I played it safe a little bit, and, like, only really told people that I was really close with, and it wasn't necessarily common knowledge. Probably not common knowledge until, like, I went to university. But that was okay. Like, it kind of suited me as a person too. Like, I'm not a super open person. Like, I don't tell all the details of my life to anybody that asks, you know? So.
And it sounds like you're very self-aware, and you know which situations you're comfortable getting into, and what's going to benefit you.
Yeah, that's
make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Like, I don't like to. I don't know. I just don't want to put myself in an awkward situation or make myself feel
want to make sure you're protecting yourself
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
And you don't want
exactly,
to
yeah.
create any or avoid situations that might create a crisis for
Yeah.
you or put you in a difficult situation.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But at the same time, you're very into advocacy too, so
Yeah.
you're able to stand up for yourself and others' rights.
I think definitely, like, when I went to university, so I went to the University of Guelph, and it was, like, Guelph is such an accepting community,
Right.
and I really, like, that was for my undergrad, and I've never, like, it wasn't an issue being out, and there was always so many things that I could get involved in, and I always felt fully supported, and it wasn't, like, it wasn't taboo at all, like, it was completely normal, so I think that also has made this situation more challenging because I don't have anything to compare it to, like, you know, my family was super accepting, I never had really issues in high school, like, I had my, like, it's not like I had tons of friends, but I had my close friends that, you know, supported me and accepted me, so that's all that really mattered to me, and then, you know, university was, it didn't feel uncomfortable or, like, I didn't belong, like, I mean, I might not have belonged to, like, you know, every group, but I had my group, so it didn't matter.
And you had that sense of community.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of the feelings, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the experiences you're having right now are kind of unknown to you as well. You haven't experienced them before, so it's hard to process how to address them and deal with them.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, and I don't want to put myself out there and then have all these, like, super negative repercussions. Like, it's not just, you know, somebody saying, you know, something rude or, you know, ignorant to me, which I think I could probably take. Like, you know, like, it wouldn't be the biggest deal, but I mean, losing my job or having, you know, like, teacher or, you know, other teachers and even parents know about my personal life, like, that's so intense. And then being so harshly judged on that, given, like, the community that it's in, like, I don't know if I can handle that, and I don't know if it's worth it. Like, it's just like, I mean, I don't really need to tell people.
Right.
I don't think in that setting, when I'm open and honest in every other aspect of my life, that it's just, like, one aspect, you know?
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a lot of fear there, too, which you talked about before, because there are a lot of reasons why, and there are solid reasons as well.
Yeah, I feel like when that whole situation came, when I came into the school, like, that came up, it just hit me really hard that I might not be able to be open and honest, and then I kind of just weighed the options, and the job was more important to me at the time than me being able to let everybody know who exactly I am, because I don't think that it's, like, it doesn't really affect how I do my job. You know? And if I'm not close with other teachers, then, like, does it really matter? Like,
because you already have that sense of community in other parts of your life.
And, like, I don't see myself in that job for forever. Like, I don't see, it would be different if I was like, I'm gonna be here for 20 years. But I'm not, like, I want to move, I don't want to be in Waterloo forever, and it was just kind of a situational thing, so that's why I don't feel like it's that important.
So you're just kind of trying to get through almost.
Like, it's just, like, not even just, like, I don't have, like, a predetermined amount of time that I'm going to be there, but I don't want to be there forever, so if I don't come out, then does it really matter? Like, but, I mean, to Danielle it does, like, she sees it as being this terrible thing, and that I'm doing such a terrible thing for her, and
so it seems like there's a lot of pressure on you, both from Danielle and then the school and yourself, and there's a lot to take in.
Like, I feel guilty about it, but then I'm not really close with anyone at the school anyways. Like, the teachers are all a lot older than me, and I'm, you know, I'll chat with them at lunch or recess or whatever, but it's kind of just talking about, like, my classroom, or asking for advice on, like, how I can handle these situations, or, you know, and, like, talking more about them, and then they never really ask about me anyways, so
it's very much a professional
like, it's a professional relationship.
And can you tell me a bit about what you were expecting coming into this school? Was this something you anticipated would happen?
I guess not, but I mean, I hadn't really had any experience with the Catholic School Board before, so I guess I just didn't really think about it.
Okay.
I just kind of walked in and expected it to be the same, and I had come out to a lot of people in my previous schools before. Like, I mean, I didn't really have many jobs, but just doing placements and stuff like that, like, it wasn't something I hid. But it was also in a more accepting environment. Like, I was going to U of T, so my placements were all in, like, Toronto, and they were in the public school board, so, like, it really wasn't a huge deal. Like, it wouldn't turn heads or anything like that. And then it's just such a different environment to be in. Yeah. And especially, like, it's not even so much as worrying about, like, it's just telling somebody finding out that's the wrong person and then it blowing up. Like, that's how I see it happening.
And those fears are very legitimate in a small town like
Yeah.
the one you're in, because I know news can spread pretty quickly.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it can. Yeah, for sure. And especially, like, the parents, too. Some are super religious. Like, some I'm sure wouldn't care whatsoever.
Right.
But, I mean, others might and would, like, ignorantly think that it was affecting how I taught their children or something ridiculous like that. But I could just see, and then sometimes, you know, like, especially principals can be such people pleasers, and they won't stick their neck out for an LTO position. You know, like, I'm not full time, and like, I'm full time, but I'm not, like, I don't have a permanent position there, you know.
So you don't have the same protection as the full time teachers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Can you tell me a bit about the relationships you had with teachers in your past jobs? Is there anyone you feel really connected to or supported by?
Yeah, for sure. I had I had a few placements through, like, doing my, like, at OIC, and that was great. And, like, if one was just helped me grow so much, and, like, she was a grade 3 teacher, and she was just such a fabulous mentor, and that was awesome. And we talked a lot about our personal lives, but that was more normal for her. Like, she would just open up about, you know, she was, you know, had kids, and she'd open up about them, so it was super natural. And we were also, like, I was her student teacher for a year, so we had a lot of time together. So I think that it was more like a friendship and a professional relationship rather than just, like, we only talk about work. So I think it was more natural, and
you guys connected.
Yeah, for sure. And it just, like, it came up, like, I would talk to anybody that I was meeting, you know, like, it wasn't like I was guarded in that situation, because I didn't think I needed to be, like, and she was super accepting, so that was great. But it was also a different, like, her personality also kind of, I mean, you gauge people, and she was super open and honest and accepting of all of her students too, which I think, obviously, I felt more safe telling her than I would somebody who was super closed off, right? So, yeah, that was a positive.
That was a positive experience. So you felt very accepted and supported in your relationship with her.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it was just, like, she never saw that as, like, me being gay. Like, it was just, like, an aspect of my identity, which I think is, like, that's the way I feel about it, right? Like, it's not who I am as a person. That's just one part of me. So I think that was nice. And she had a very, so she was just super accepting and positive. And we're still friends. Like, I still talk to her. Yeah, and she gets where I'm coming from, you know, like, and she doesn't work for the Catholic school board, but she, you know, hears stories and stuff, so she definitely gets it.
So have you shared your experience that you're having with her?
Yeah, I think, like, I talked to her a lot about it, and, well, not a lot, but, like, you know, like, we still talk.
You're in touch.
Yeah, we're in touch, so, and I talked to her about it, and she kind of, not agreed with me, but, like, just understood where I was coming from. You know, like, that was more what I needed to hear, is that, like, I get, like, why you're hesitant. Like, and she didn't tell me what to do or anything. Like, she just listened, and that was really helpful, but...
And validated how you were feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. She just validated. And then, but, I mean, I don't want to burden her with, like, helping me make the decision of what I do. And, like, obviously, she doesn't know a lot about my relationship, and that's a huge aspect of this issue.
And have you told anyone else about what's going on in your relationship?
My mom.
Okay.
Yeah, and like a few friends.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much like a lot of details, but just
Okay.
what's happening. And I think it's hard too because my mom's super protective,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah.
So I think that's hard for her. Like she doesn't want to. Like I'm hesitant to give her all the details or like why like that I'm really struggling with it. 'Cause she obviously does not want me to be discriminated against or fired based on my sexual orientation. So I think she leans more on like the cautious side, which I guess is probably where I get it from, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think so I talked to her about it, but I don't want to worry her too, you know. She's still my mom, so I don't want to make her too worried about it.
Yeah, I guess that's why you're here too, so you have someone else to share it with.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've talked a lot about your experience at school and your relationship. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about how it's been moving to a new town. There's been a lot of changes recently.
Yeah, it was good to start. Like Danielle had a great job at the CBC, and that was sort of like why we moved, I guess, from Toronto. And I didn't have a job, so it was kind of like whatever. Like it was a perfect moment, I guess, because I, you know, like finished school and was kind of just working like jobs that weren't exactly where I wanted because I couldn't get on any like supply list, and it was super challenging. So I thought maybe that would it would be better, but I waited and waited. So like we moved to KW, and that was good, and like I liked it, so it was okay. And we're not living in St. Jacobs, like we're living in Waterloo, so that's like it's a lot different. Like it's not a small town. Like I don't feel like we're abnormal there whatsoever. But yeah, it was just sort of like circumstances that I got in at that school. Like I couldn't really be picky at that point, and I didn't think it was gonna be a huge issue because it's still within like the Waterloo board. Like it's not like it's a separate board, right? So yeah, that kind of sucked that it played out that way, but
yeah. So it sounded like there was a lot of unexpected
things
that happened with your move.
But I'm still like happy to have a job. Like that's not. I mean, it may not be the perfect job, but like, what is the perfect job?
Okay.
Yeah. You know, like I still like my students. I like the age I'm teaching. I mean, I'm not gonna be there forever, so it's when there's an end in sight, I feel like it's more bearable to like kind of just like be professional.
Yeah, and you're just looking at it as getting your experience.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So, and I think the move for Danielle was good. Like, she really loved her job to start, but then, I mean, cutbacks happen, and she happened to be, like, I think when you come from another place and then, like, you're new to the team, you're the first to go. So, we didn't see that coming because we moved for the job. So, like, I think she's upset about that to begin with, and then kind of not taking it out on me, but she's zeroing in on that aspect and kind of like taking it super personally, which I don't need it to be like personal, that I'm not talking about our relationship in my workplace.
Okay. And how does that feel for you, seeing her under this stress?
Like it's upsetting for sure, and I want to be supportive, but I feel like it's like we're fighting about it, not like constantly, but a lot. And I feel like she's just not looking at it from my perspective, or like just like I want her just to let it go. Like I just want her to like either decide what she wants to do, if she wants to move again, or and like look for jobs elsewhere, which I'm totally okay with doing, or just kind of let it be. But she doesn't seem to think that that's an option.
Okay. Yeah. And knowing her, is there anything you think that would help her to let this go? Other than you coming out to your school.
Yeah, that could help, but I don't know. Like, I think that for her, I think what she doesn't realize is that like for her, it's such a integral part of her identity. Like she, you know, like she really loves being part of that community and helping and advocating, and that's such a like who she is as a person.
Okay.
And
Identity.
yeah, and that's great, but I mean, like, I'm my own person. Like, I have my own feelings towards it. And yes, I do want to be out and not be hiding aspects of my life, but in this certain circumstance, I don't feel like it will help me, like, you know? So
Okay.
I think for me right now, my job and like having a good reference if I want to leave is more important than me coming out to, like, I don't even know if, like, she seems to make it more extreme every time and say, like, I'm like, well, what if I just came out to one person that I trusted? And she's like, that's not enough.
Okay.
I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm obviously not gonna want it to get to the principal. Like, that's given the circumstance. Like, and I feel like that's pretty obvious. And she just, I guess she's like, I mean, she's super intolerant of ignorance and, you know, not accepting values. And I'm obviously I am too, but I realize that it happens.
You guys seem to be coming from two different places.
Yeah, and I just don't think she has the understanding, and she sees Waterloo and Kitchener as having like super accepting values, and I'm like, I'm not there. Like, I'm not in Waterloo. It's different. So yeah, I don't think she gets it. Yeah, she definitely
lack of understanding.